this video, I'll tell you the 7 times MrBeast was on the brink of death. Believe me, some of these stories sound like they came out of an action movie, but they are 100% real. So stay until the end, because you won't believe the craziness that MrBeast has lived through. First, imagine this. You arrive in a small town ready to keep a low profile, stay for a couple of nights, and continue your journey. But within hours, your location is leaked, and hundreds of people are camping outside the place where you're staying. Yes, this happened to MrBeast, and I can assure you he'll never forget it. It all started when MrBeast was preparing his epic video in Antarctica. Obviously, you can't fly directly from the US to Antarctica, so he had to make a stop in a small Chilean town and spend a couple of nights at a hotel. The plan was simple. Get in, sleep, and leave without attracting attention. But things didn't go as expected. While waiting at the airport, Jimmy tried to stay incognito. Hoodie up, sunglasses on, looking at the ground. Everything was fine until a kid recognized him and asked for a photo. MrBeast, who can't say no to his fans, agreed. Here's where things spiraled out of control. That kid uploaded the photo to Instagram, and within hours, the entire town knew MrBeast was there. When Jimmy arrived at the hotel, a group of people was already waiting outside, but the worst came later. Within a day, the number of fans grew to over 200 people, blocking the hotel entrance. Some even managed to run through the hallways, knocking on doors, trying to guess which room he was in. The situation became so extreme that the hotel had to activate emergency protocols. MrBeast ended up spending over $30,000 on security just to leave the place. Fans camped outside the hotel as if waiting for a concert. The chaos delayed his Antarctic flight. After this experience, MrBeast learned a clear lesson. When traveling, not even a single photo with fans. Second, get ready because this story will make you realize how close MrBeast came to being part of a major tragedy. Imagine being about to join one of the most shocking disasters of the year, but narrowly escaping death by sheer luck. This is exactly what happened to MrBeast. It began with an invitation he received in early June last year. A mysterious billionaire invited him to join a unique trip, descending in a submarine to the Titanic's resting place. Yes, it was that submarine you're thinking about. Few people know that MrBeast was almost on that submarine. Some took it as a fact. If he had accepted the invitation, he wouldn't be here today. Others questioned it, wondering if he was just seeking attention. Regardless, this story teaches us a lesson. Sometimes, the smallest decisions can literally save your life. MrBeast has shown he's willing to do anything for content, but saying no to this invitation kept him alive. Third, now, let's talk about a story as strange as it is terrifying. Imagine an unknown billionaire from the other side of the world decides he wants to find you and talk to you. Sounds like a movie plot, right? But that's exactly what happened to MrBeast. And trust me, things got so weird that it nearly ended in tragedy. It all started with an unexpected call. MrBeast was notified by his private investigator. Hey, there's a very wealthy guy from the Middle East doing everything he can to find you. He even hired an investigator here in North Carolina to track you down. The reason? Even the investigator couldn't explain it, but he added something that made MrBeast panic. This guy is flying to the US tomorrow. That same night, MrBeast didn't take any chances and doubled his security team. This time, it wasn't just about keeping fans away, but preparing for whatever might come. He sent his team, along with the private investigator, directly to the hotel where the billionaire was staying. When they arrived, things got even weirder. They questioned the man directly. "Why are you here? What do you want with Jimmy?" The man's response was surreal. "I have video ideas I want to share with him." He repeated this claim over 30 times. The security team didn't believe him for a second. They searched his belongings and every corner of his hotel room, finding nothing suspicious, just a suitcase and clothes. Despite the lack of evidence, MrBeast didn't want to take any risks. They lied to the man, making him believe that MrBeast wasn't in the city. Afterward, the billionaire simply returned to Dubai. Was he just an obsessed fan with ideas for videos, or was there something darker behind it all? We'll never know. But one thing is certain. When you're the most famous creator on YouTube, you don't just deal with the pressure of millions of fans. You also face the reality that some people might be dangerous. Fourth, sometimes MrBeast's greatest enemy isn't a crazy fan or external danger. It's himself. There was a time when he almost killed himself, trying to record one of his famous challenges. In 2018, MrBeast had an idea that could have ended in tragedy, spending 24 hours underwater. He gathered his team and built a plastic box with a roof fixed to the bottom of a pool. The idea was to breathe inside the box through a tube supplying oxygen. It seemed like a crazy but controlled plan, or so they thought. At first, everything went well. MrBeast and his friend Chris were having fun, eating McDonald's underwater and joking around. But, as always, things started to go wrong. 8 hours in, MrBeast began to feel strange, with an intense headache. Still, he decided to push through. At the 14-hour mark, the challenge turned into a nightmare. MrBeast felt dizzy, nauseous, and visibly unwell. He finally had to leave before completing the task. 24 hours, and it's a good thing he did. The issue? Carbon dioxide buildup. In a closed space, MrBeast had been breathing the same air he exhaled for hours. The oxygen was depleting, and CO2 was accumulating to dangerous levels, essentially poisoning him without him realizing it. Initially, he thought he was just seasick, but later he understood how close he was to not leaving that pool alive. This incident made it clear. While MrBeast is willing to do anything to entertain people, some challenges simply aren't worth the risk. Fifth, get ready, because this next story is not only dangerous, but absurd. What if I told you the person who almost killed MrBeast wasn't a crazy fan or a deranged stalker, but one of his best friends? It happened during the recording of one of his wildest videos. I bought the world's largest firework. In this video, MrBeast spent over $160,000 on a single firework, a 1,800 kiloliters monster that, according to him, still holds the world record for the largest firework ever. What was supposed to be an epic spectacle almost ended in disaster, all because of one completely absurd idea from a friend. While preparing the fireworks, one of his friends looked at one of the giant launch tubes and said something that shocked the instructor overseeing the setup. "What if I put my head in there?" The instructor had to intervene immediately. Even though the firework wasn't lit, just activating the fuse could have caused an immediate detonation. If that had happened, not only would his friend have been a victim of the explosion, but the entire team could have been caught in the blast. Thankfully, the instructor's quick action prevented a tragedy. After publishing the video, MrBeast faced criticism from fans for recording such dangerous content, with some arguing that it could inspire others to do similar reckless acts. Even YouTube considered banning the video for violating its policies on dangerous stunts. Sixth, you might think that someone as famous as MrBeast would rarely face rejection, but the truth is that his journey was full of rejections, even from the platform that made him famous. And one of the most humiliating rejections came from YouTube itself. Back in 2015, long before he became the king of YouTube, MrBeast had an ambitious dream: to join the YouTube Partner Program. At the time, this program was the golden ticket to monetizing videos, making it possible to earn money for every view. But when MrBeast applied, YouTube responded with a cold, hard no. The reason? YouTube didn't think his content met their standards. For MrBeast, this was crushing. He'd been working tirelessly on his channel for years, posting gaming videos, reaction clips, and anything else he thought could attract an audience. But instead of giving up, he made a decision that changed his life forever. MrBeast doubled down on his efforts. He started studying YouTube as if it were a science, analyzing successful videos frame by frame and experimenting with new ideas. He shifted his focus from random content to large-scale challenges and philanthropic acts, slowly building a unique brand that stood out. Years later, when MrBeast was one of the most successful creators in history, YouTube not only approved his channel, but also celebrated him as a shining example of what creators could achieve. The rejection that once felt like a career-ending failure turned out to be the motivation he needed to redefine YouTube itself. Seventh, speaking of redefining YouTube, this final story might be the most surprising of all. It shows how MrBeast's success isn't just about luck or creativity, it's about strategy. What if I told you MrBeast once hacked YouTube's algorithm? No, he didn't break into YouTube's systems or cheat. Instead, he figured out how to beat the platform at its own game. MrBeast realized that the key to success wasn't just making great content, but understanding how YouTube's algorithm worked. He spent months studying it, testing theories about click-through rates, audience retention, and video performance. One of his biggest discoveries was that the first 30 seconds of a video were crucial. If viewers stayed during that time, they were more likely to watch until the end, boosting the video's retention rate and making it more likely to be recommended by YouTube. He also figured out the power of evergreen content, videos that would remain relevant for years. While other creators focused on trends, MrBeast invested in ideas with long-term appeal, like massive giveaways and impossible challenges. His strategy worked so well that some people in the industry started calling him the algorithm whisperer. But for MrBeast, it wasn't about manipulating the system. It was about understanding what people truly wanted to watch and delivering it better than anyone else.